with young people as well as with the product that's out there on the streets.
But you do also have to be honest. I think that's probably the one thing that was kind of ridiculous about the DARE programs. I mean, yeah, this is your brain on drugs and what have you. I mean, if you were honest and be like, this is a person who's on crystal methamphetamine and this is what happens to you, and you were honest to kids that, you know, these are things that happen and these drugs, these fentanyl, you know, they are in carts, they are in all this other stuff. I mean, it has to be a twofold thing. You're an emancipated individual. You can make good choices, but also this is the world that exists around us, and these are the results of, you know, the actions if you do choose to take them. But yeah, you're correct on that, sir.
Yeah, and you work with kids. So there are kids that obviously they grow up in a certain environment. They're going to be much, much more reckless than others, and they could see that, you know, the real after effects of doing certain drugs, and it won't be on their head because they're out there to do something. They're out there to, you know, whatever's missing in their life, whatever anger or, you know, or whatever they feel just a bit horrible about, they're willing to go and take some drug. You know, that could be deadly. So that it has to be addressed.
Now, Jarl, you said that people were overdosing. Overdoses went up in Canada. Did you say that is in Vancouver, sir?
Correct. So overdoses went up, but deaths from overdoses did not. So I'm assuming it's because like people had Narcan. If they're having overdoses, you know, they're taking care of faster. But there is more overdoses in 2025 and 2024 than the years prior.
Gotcha. So, I guess for school kids, I mean, do you have do you have the same problems that we have in the United States? I mean, I'm assuming you do. Do you have like drug prevention programs in schools? Sure.
Yeah, I think it's very similar. The fentanyl problem in Canada and the U.S. Maybe there's a bit more in the U.S., but we hear about it just the same. Yeah.
Now, you guys have a socialized medicine system. Does it treat like addiction and stuff like that, or are you on your own to those projects?
Oh, good question. I will fact check. I'm not sure. I'll check.
No, I'm just trying to think because, like, I mean, we look at Portugal, but it's again in a much smaller subset. We look at Portland, which was just a nightmare because there wasn't support, and then Canada, of course, being our closest aligned. I mean, societally. I mean, literally. I mean, I know you guys look down on us, but we're fairly similar. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you guys have run into these problems or at least tested them, then I mean, it's a good case study and how to do it either right or wrong. But okay.
And yes, it looks like almost everything is covered. Detox, addiction counseling, opioid therapy, psychiatric care, rehab, all that stuff seems to be covered, yeah, by our insurance.
Okay, so the federal...
The legalization of marijuana being $10 billion direct, and then obviously you got another $24 billion indirect. Maybe if we use that for like addiction treatment as like a subsidy for the taxation that is there, that could also be a great way to lessen the impact when the legalization occurs if we already earmarked the money for treatment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're asking me, but we do that in Canada. We have STDs. There's plenty of like marijuana and alcohol sales that do that here. Yeah.
Okay, so governmental alcohol, cool, like an ABC store in North Carolina.
Hey, this is John. I would just like to say that I don't think the U.S. government should spend any money whatsoever on rehabilitation or any type of preventative measures at all in terms of consumption of illicit drugs or alcohol. I think if you look at the priorities, worrying about consumption of what people put into their body is one of the lowest hanging fruits of priorities on our list of priorities. That's just my opinion.
I agree with you, John, and the good thing is that none of the money is actually being spent. This is a tax that doesn't exist. So what I was hoping to do is to get in front of a problem that could suspectedly happen. Not that it would happen, and certainly not that governmental monies should be used for humanitarian things. That would be outlandish. But the expectation that the money doesn't exist now, so if you create the tax and you legalize utilize it and earmark it. You'd like to have guardrails in it, just like you'd like to have an airbag in your car, just preventative.
So in our system, right, if you smoke cigarettes, like you're paying a massive tax on your cigarettes, and that's because you're so much more likely to end up sick in the hospital, and then so like, in a system like Canada, it makes perfect sense to tax you more if you're buying drugs, alcohol, or cigarettes, because you're more likely to end up sick from those.
So you think stealing people's money because of what you want to eat or smoke or drink, you think the government should steal from you in order, to basically prepare for your future health crisis?
Yeah.
Yes, the reason that America was called the largest class action lawsuit in the tobacco industry, it was actually an alumni pool, as I met the gentleman and he was nice enough to talk to me about it. What we did was we increased the taxation on cigarettes because, of course, we realized that they do affect your health. So yes, we actually tax people in America because we know it's going to cost us more.
Got it. But it's not like actually tied to your future healthcare, right? It just goes into a general pool fund, so like it's not actually guaranteed that taxation will go towards your future healthcare, right?
No more than any guarantee that you have a budgetary expectation for money to go to NPR and then they just get rid of it. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. We have a budget, but the discretionary spending of the budget is obviously up for debate. But no, that money is actually earmarked for things like class action lawsuits against tobacco companies, and you're not allowed to do that anymore, so we just tax them a little bit more. But no, what I was saying is actually earmarking that money for a specific reason like they do in Canada. And no, I guess he said it's not just a specific pool. They have a separate pool of money for what you would call the public health system. It's based on your tax dollars and then taxation systems like that. And then also producers of things that actually would negatively affect your health, they actually pay the government that, and that would go in the pool of money that's earmarked for what you would call the public health care system.
Yeah, I don't want to be like 100% quoted on that. I'm not sure if it's like one big pool of our taxes or if it does go directly to that, but that's the idea, right? Like we have like it's the same thing with like gasoline, right? We have it like an environmental tax on gasoline, or we used to. I think I got rid of it. But like the idea is that because you're using gas and you're hurting the environment, you pay a little more taxes. I don't know if it's actually set aside for green causes though.
So if the country's $37 trillion in debt but wants to continue taxing you, I'm just so confused how it's not, that money's just going to paying interest expense and hopefully paying down the debt. So why you think a country in debt is actually preparing by saving your taxes that you're paying? See, I just think you guys are living in La La Land.
Well, that's the nice thing about America, sir. So the deficit that we have as opposed to the debt that we have. So most American debt is actually in bond and it's in foreign investment. So when we look at that, it's actually debt that sometimes we owe to ourselves. So a lot of our bond market is actually owned by the United States, but some of it's foreign. So yes, that's actually true. But the question for America is never are we going to be in a budgetary issue because we've had surpluses in the past. Our country, of course, has the strongest military in the world, the greatest political insight in the world, and are the strongest nation in the world. So the question is always this: if we do put ourselves in the precipice of being in an economic conundrum, there's often times that people go to war over limited resources. So I'm assuming that's probably the play, but I don't really think that you talking about the taxes being earmarked or benchmarked or something like that have anything to do with it, because right now the tax doesn't exist. And that's what I'm saying, it's money that doesn't exist that could be used for a perceived problem, or contrarily wise, could be used for educational purposes. That could also be used for it. But again, everybody in America has to decide what they think their money should be spent on, and that's why we vote, John.
But when you say we owe the money to ourselves, can you maybe clarify that a little bit?
Yes, sir. Have you ever bought a U.S. Treasury bond?
Yes.
Okay, so do foreign countries buy U.S. Treasury bonds?
Yes.
Okay, do we also give like 0% loans to banks, and do we also give bonds that we borrow against ourselves? Would that not be us owing ourselves money, getting our foreign debt in Treasury bonds also to ourselves? Like, what was it, yes, the U.S. Bank. So the U.S. mail, Congress borrowed against some of the assets of the United States government's mail department. And what they wanted to do was to borrow that money. They wrote themselves a little check and they put it to the side. When it came time to pay it, unfortunately, the Congress didn't want to do it. So what they did was they made the U.S. governmental mail department actually pay all of their pensions forward. So it looks like they don't have any money. So for the United States to have debt to itself, yes, we have governmental things where we buy bonds or we issue them. So we owe money to ourselves. So our foreign debt is also to ourselves sometimes. So when we count all of that, it's not all foreign debt. Some of it is bonds that I.
So, do you have the ability as an individual to create debt out of thin air and borrow from yourself?
Do I have the ability as a singular individual and not a bank to do so? No, I don't have the issue.
But I mean, even a bank can't just create money out of thin air and borrow from itself, correct?
No, but the country can. That's what we call when we print money. We artificially increase inflation by printing an excess of money on the debt that we've created to ourselves. Yes, 100%.
But I mean, do you really think that the Federal Reserve is our Federal Reserve, or is it a completely separate institution with its own board of governors and is essentially disconnected from the U.S. government?
So I want to juggle out this stuff.
So I'm just asking, how do you think that we owe money to ourselves? Because we don't owe money to ourselves. We owe money to the Federal Reserve and foreign borrowers.
Oh, I see what you're saying, John. Sorry, I was completely and totally misunderstanding. Now that I know what you're talking about, you're saying you're saying that is not a government thing. So we don't owe, we owe money to that.
Yeah, we don't owe money to the Treasury. We owe money to the Federal.
Sorry, my mic is not coming on. Yes, okay. So, but from a substructure thing, that's you. So you disqualify that from being an arm of the U.S. government. I mean, I know it's not an arm of the U.S. government, but you don't consider that to be governmental.
I don't think it meets that definition of we are borrowing from ourselves, because that's impossible.
What if you had land that the government owns? Can you use that as an asset, or does it have to be like the declarations of your money? Do you allow any asset to be the?
If that land doesn't produce any revenue, it's a liability because you got to pay taxes on that land to the government.
No, I meant government. They like land of the government. You said they didn't create anything outside of thin air. So you're not talking about like people's labor. You're not talking about ideas.
I'm talking about debt. I'm talking about borrowing.
Okay. No, I agree with you.
I'm just saying it's not accurate to say that the United States borrows from itself and owes money to itself. That's just simply not
I know,
accurate.
but I mean, it's like if you've got 5 shell companies and you're borrowing from another. But I understand your point of view, John, and I appreciate your input. Thank you for correcting me.
I love America. Don't you love America, Mo, John?
I do love America. I love it a lot.
Jerry, you want to say something?
I mean, are we paying $1 trillion of interest to ourselves to pay down the debt annually? No.
Yeah, I just quickly, I actually agree with your point, John, about the debt. Because like second biggest expense as a country is interest on debt. Canada's might be like
That's
our
the
biggest
third,
expense.
it's the third biggest.
Third?
It's Social
Basically,
Security,
right.
Medicare, and then interest on the debt.
Yeah, so it's a big chunk. Same thing in Canada. We're not no better on that. And then yeah, like that's like a big problem. I'm not a macroeconomist, but I mean that just seems like a recipe for disaster. That like you should at least be paying like that, and it's growing every year too. The amount of interest. Anyway, it just sounds like that's a serious problem.
Well, here's the facts of it. If we don't do something to reduce our expenditure for Medicare and Social Security, then we know that the interest on the debt is going to continue to go up. And those are the only levers that we even have aside from a massive increase in production, which I don't think that's a likely scenario. And so, as long as it's politically untenable to talk about massive cuts to Social Security and Medicare, then eventually that third largest line item becomes the second largest, and then eventually the first largest. When that happens, we're in big trouble.
I thought military was like the biggest expenditure in America. No.
No, so we have mandatory spending and discretionary spending. They're bifurcated, and about 60 to 65% is locked up in mandatory spending, and that's Social Security, Medicare, and SNAP benefits. And so when you look at the discretionary spending, which makes up, let's call it 35 to 40%, half of that is military spending. Which essentially means the other half of discretionary spending is for all other things.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for correcting me.
Hey, Mo, did you know this woman named Lisa? She has like a political room.
Lisa 420, she's nice, but she's wrong-headed.
Oh, okay, because she keeps pinging me. I don't know the room that much, but I went in once.
It's a big room. It's a big room. Yeah. I go in there and tell them about the movie and go in there and don't talk politics. Just go in there and I don't know enough about
it. It's not going to be sometimes some of these different rooms and Lou, having done the sometimes she's which is a huge room. But I have, because of who I am, Mojo, I avoid certain rooms like that because, especially when, this, because black folks, everybody, right? But black folks, especially in Lou's room, have a very strong point of view, right? So, like Hakima, I wouldn't want to go in there and have a different point of view as him. When they make me offend, and then it gets really silly. So it's not worth it to me to even.
I think Lou's got a good moderated room because what he does, even though he's got crazy topics and they get heated discussions, the one thing that he does really well is he isolates the battle. He calls it an intellectual squabble. And so what will happen is somebody will make a statement, then somebody will disagree, and then he clears everything and he lets them go off just one-on-one. So if you're in the room, unless you take a hard position, you're not going to find yourself.
That's his own point of view. So when someone's arguing, even if it's a good argument between both of them, he takes a side. I'm not saying.
No, you're definitely right. Honestly, like, I go to Lou room, I go to Lou room, I go to Lou room. I don't go in none of the states for the exact reason. Like it's gonna get silly. And honestly, I'm not gonna argue with a lot of black people. That's why I definitely avoid them states.
I like going into Lou's room when the topic is reparations.
I think he's, he runs a decent room. It's just that any, you know what I'm saying? I got a huge following there, right? I don't, if I say something, it'll like kill their feeling. They'll be like, this motherfucker thinks he thinks that. And I love these motherfuckers, but they get ignorant on me, you know what I mean? They'll start, yeah, it's stupid. And it's over bullshit, so I don't even deal with it.
So does anybody have any suggestions for how the United States is going to actually be able to get out of the monetary situation they're in now? Because again, I've heard a bunch of ideas. I didn't know if anybody had anything that they thought would work.
I think AI is going to be very game-changing, or at least potentially game-changing in terms of picking up efficiencies. If we win the AI war, I think that becomes a game changer. The bigger concern if we win the AI war is what happens with the imbalance, because the delta between whoever wins that war and everybody else is going to be pretty fucking huge. And then what are the second and third, degree, the fallout, the unintended consequences of that? Because we're going to become very unpopular once we reign supreme again.
Well, I mean, the short term is going to have massive destabilization. And you're basically upending an apple cart that's, been the same for a while. But I guess the question is, so we get to energy independence, great. We've got a moon base, we've got all these things. Does money, debt, and all those things continue to matter? Can we still put that structure into that sort of idea? That, I guess, is my question. Would it matter if we're producing that much? Maybe that's the whole point of the debt, is like your Amazon at the end of the day. This is the next great idea. Just from that manufactured in the United States. Is that
When you feel my heat, look into my eyes. It's
This is just a theory, but I picture a future of slop where it's just let's just produce whatever we can using AI, and it's so much cheaper to produce than putting humans to do that job that it's efficient. But that just means I think everything's just going to be AI slop in the future. I don't know. I'm a doomer.
Joe, have you looked into quantum computers? They're afraid of what those are.
Well, no. So they're learning through doing some of this that they can actually slow down the quantum state. I think they're able to hold it for 15 seconds. So the expectation is that you can have a stable quantum computer, and you can have something that, because again, it doesn't save, it doesn't back it up, but it does solve problems very well. So I guess from quantum computing, that's what I said. Ultimately, you're going to get to a point of energy independence where resources don't matter. So yeah, quantum computing is very interesting. Basically, we're able to quantify something that all the information on the universe is never able to do. So I guess the expectation is that these game changers, as our civilization moves forward, what are we expecting to see? Is money no longer going to be an issue because we're going to be so conscious? And I know, Jarl, that everybody's a doomer, but I don't think sloth is the intended state for humans. I think we're kind of corralled into that through a whole bunch of different reasons. So yeah, if you're a lion, sloth is your thing because you lay around all day and then you go and hunt. But I think humans are efficiency, not sloth.
I think the transition period is going to be ugly, regardless.
You have a black woman and a black man.
Not any uglier than we've had in history, though.
Give me an example of a time that you think which would have been uglier than the transition that's coming.
Well, we don't know what's coming, first of all, but I know what you're saying, that you think, well, what are you talking about? Wars? You're talking about...
Well, I think just the scale of the change that's coming, and the speed in which the rate of change and the scale of change. I don't think we've seen anything like this before.
Right.
The Industrial Revolution, was a massive change, but that took a longer period of time than I think people realize. I think that we could see massive shifts into worlds that we can't even imagine that may happen within the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, you're right. But the thing now is, is the information is going to be life changing. It's going to be it's going to make sense, and it's going to it'll be information that's so decisive, so clear that you can't debate it. And therein lies the change. But it's just like someone that didn't know they were fat, going to the doctor tells them they're fat, and the person might say, "Oh, I'm not fat," but then everybody else agrees with the doctor and the whole thing, and they'll have that transformation. They'll fight there, but they'll come to their senses.
A big show of support for the Texas lawmakers who fled to Illinois. Some of the lawmakers became
I think in the long term, that's the hope. Right now, I think the biggest concern is, and again, you said I haven't worked with kids in years. I taught for 15 years. I coach every once in a while, but I've been in the corporate world since 2013. So here's the biggest thing. The United States, they already have very basic camera operations, logistics, and whatnot.
Well, there are connections to New York Attorney General Letitia James.
Right now. So think about what that translates.
I spent an hour or two at a place that looks like this. Wherever I have
already decided that through just basic
personal price plan zero.
streamline their delivery, they can have their shelf stock, they can do a host of things. And neither of these companies has a union, so there's no guardrail as it pertains to this. So I think in the short term, you're going to create information deserts in places that don't have access to it, so they're going to be well behind the mark. But you're also going to see in America that you're going to have a large number of employers that do not have to have
This country is so
those
fucking ass backwards. Like, I went to pick up my medicine, so I just got new insurance. I just started a new
that's
job.
the biggest piece of the actual direct economic impact on people as production narrowed and the resulting capital produced increases, those entry-level jobs and those middle management jobs will cease to be necessary.
We're not going to let him stop us. Are you with me on that? Ándale. It also means, as Mark was saying earlier,
We have a new poll, by the way.
You're dancing or voting.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, Roger. This is more like the realm of politics and government, and I'm not. Yeah, it's a little out of my purview.
Well, then let's look at AI as it would affect biases. One of the brilliant things about artificial intelligence.
A lot of people are going to leave because these are very accomplished and skilled people who maybe don't want to be in an agency where they could get fired if Laura Loomer decides that, she's found out about them and wants to make a phone call to the president. And that really harms.
So it helps people understand it.
Made a comment at a cabinet secretary meeting that has struck with all of them. Why are
It's
there
going to
so
help
many
us to highlight things
tricycles?
that we perhaps believe, because it gives us time to reflect, and it also gives us an opportunity to seek out information that is not readily available to us. So I think from that point of view, education is certainly going to be transformed. Each other, obviously, much more integrated and peaceful place, because everybody kind of sees that these biases, these biological constructs and these mental constructs that we're all so similar.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's rolling out. It's out there, but it's rolling out much more. Yeah, it's going to be a clear thing. And like what you call it? What was the enlightenment era? There was I don't remember.
We had like the Renaissance, then you had like the Enlightenment. Yeah, definitely. So those were the influence literally of the United States. So yeah, that would be lovely. We had another one
into the White House.
Creates kind of an
Said, I never
idealized.
get searched when I go into the White House. I can easily wear a
Right,
recording
right.
device. They wouldn't know I was there.
And
Now, he was not joking.
now
He was absolutely
got
serious.
serious,
all
and in
the
fact,
science.
brought it up in the next meeting we had. I did discuss it with my general counsel and my leadership team back at the FBI after
someone
he
wrong.
brought it up the first time.
It's just going to give the answer, right? And then let you deal with the fact that it's science, that it's like, it's going to be, look, there is oxygen, okay? And let you deal with the fact that you think there's not oxygen. Don't try to breathe. It's going to be that.
You think that's air you're breathing, Neo? So let's take that to its nth degree. So if we rewrite things about AI is you have to let kids kind of suffer in problems sometimes. But if you did that, if you did, conscious breathing like meditation, you did the martial arts, and you had these philosophical modalities. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are, what religion, what meaning, it would affect everybody positively in the same way. I think maybe that's what AI is going to be able to do. It's going to be like, hey, look, this is great for everybody, not just certain people, and this is how you can use that information. I think that's actually,
Yeah, it doesn't mean that there's no responsibility. It's just like when I'm not trying to pick on fat people. When people die if they don't stop this, it's going to be so clear. And then they'll see, and then we have for them to take actions that are.
This American Army lady was sitting in an airplane, traveling with her dog to enjoy
It doesn't
vacation.
mean that you're creating the perfect world. There's no such thing. It's just a healthy world, mentally, physically, and so I'm so proud of you, Roger, about clarity, duality. We have that within us, and there's as everybody knows, there's a side of us that is not as productive as there is on the other side. As adults, you learn more about that experience, maybe heartache, this and that, and you start to behave in a way that's lean to the side that's much more, let's say, generous, much more humble, much more, it could even be much more courageous. So it's going to be something like that, that they'll have a choice.
Hey, yo! So it's good that you brought up the enlightenment. There is a philosophy, right? He's the guy who basically used over articles. That's exactly what
we based on Kant, not Locke?
Yes, if you actually look at every single lawyer in America, they have to read moral philosophy by man.
Wait. Lawyers in America reading Kant does not answer the thing that you just said. You said that.
No. It's a precipice for the morality. So if you're looking at their objective morality and you're looking at that, then how do they make decisions based on morality? And yes, Locke heavily influenced it. You're 100% correct. But if you look at how a judge makes a decision based on moral philosophy, they tend to lean on that. So from those earmarks, that's why I use that loosely. But yes, Locke influenced it greatly.
Well, what about John Stuart Mill?
Yes, but back to duality. So Immanuel Kant talks about our dual being both party to cause and effect, and then also free in those internal choices because of what we would call an intangible spirit or soul. So I think that kind of brought everything together with the Enlightenment very, very interestingly for me. But
Sorry, Mojo. What were you talking about for the?
John Stuart Mill. You think he wasn't? I would argue that Kant is definitely trailing far behind Locke and John Stuart Mill in terms of influence on our society.
Oh, I thought from a moral philosophy standpoint that he was the benchmark for it, but for other positions, perhaps not so.
Well, I mean, how about just individual rights? I mean, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is directly lifted from Locke's life, liberty, and property.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about the formation of the United States. I'm just talking about moral philosophy as it pertains to law. But I mean, if you look at what was our First Amendment came from, gosh, who was it? What was the book? Candide. And he basically said that I may not agree with what you have to say, but I'll defend to your death your right to say it. Who was that?
I know the quote. I don't know the source.
I'm trying to remember his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. Voltaire. And yes, the French, the French Revolution afterwards. But yeah, that's where our First Amendment came from. So no, there's myriad influences. But from my perspective, it's again maybe wrong. When it comes to the lawyers, they feel that Kant's moral philosophy is the benchmark for that, but not the structure of the country or all.
Yeah. The type of thing I'm talking about with young people is not, the attention is not going to be on morality, yet, let's say better behavior, let's say a behavior that is apt to creating an environment that is more safe, more loving, more harmonious. So doesn't mean that there won't be any fun jokes like we have Raj, come out. But here's a little taste, right? Take on the idea that, and it's something new, right? This is something that you might already know, that life is you pushed out. You follow me, Joe? Life, your experience is you pushed out. Your reality is your own personal reality, right? You follow me?
Yes, sir.
Right. So when you have that, right, as factories, right, then blame is no longer something that you can embrace, right?
So is that part of the philosophy that you're going to be bringing to the young people in the schools? Is that kind of your thrust?
Kind of that. It's like in this room, the gentleman that came in here earlier, right? He didn't. If he knew that the circumstance, the response that he's getting, right, is him, right, pushed out into other individuals, then he would listen and hear, right? You follow me? And he would listen and go, okay, just like we're doing here. So it's more of that kind of thing.
I have a question. So, when we think about Kant, would you agree that Kant was the one that held the door open for collectivist ideologies with this idea of duty instead of believing that people will act out of their own self-interest, that they ought to act out of this sense of duty to others? I would say in many ways, all of these collectivist ideologies that we have, we hear people talk about Hegel, we hear people talk about Marx, but I think the problem that I see, which is actually anti-American and very much against the spirit of individual freedom, is this sense of duty that Kant refers to.
Well, if you want to talk about it as collectivism, so he's identifying all sorts of things. So yes, duty, talks about maxims, which are personal choices. He talks about idealized things like universal laws and how people should or shouldn't act. But the question about duty, he probably looks at it from Christian philosophy in a similar way, and he does kind of reference a lot of those things with the spirit and soul. But your duty is to a higher calling. So let's say you have a universal law, which means it's equally applicable to everybody. So doing something well, like having a well-run government in a democratic republic, could be a duty in exactly the same way as you said, interpreting it, giving things away. So acting out of a sense of duty within your capacity, I don't think is collectivism. I think it's just running individuality and trying to do things the right way from a moral standpoint. And remember, he never left his hometown. He did the same exact thing nowadays. So his external world experiences were probably closed off a little bit. But from the sense of duty being collectivist and anti-American, no.
Yeah, I'm just not a fucking fan. I think that he seems to reject reason, and whereas this idea of deontological ethics, I just can't wrap my head around it. I have fundamental disagreements with the idea that people ought to exist to have this duty and this principled goal of doing what's best for other people. And it's not that you can't do for other people, but human nature is driven out of self-interest, rational self-interest. I don't think he was the most rational guy. In fact, I would say that he objects. He opposes the idea of an objective reality in general.
Yes, and that's actually one of the things that I was saying. A philosophy is going to be reflective of a person, and you're 100% correct. But I don't know if the duty thing is as much of an issue and logic insofar as he's trying to choose for you. He's just investigating what a perfectly good way. And again, he talks about will being pure practical reason. So yeah, they're all theoretical, but everybody has their favorite philosopher. He happens to be one that I've studied for a number of years, and I have a soft spot for him. So sorry if you don't like him.
It's fine. We could all disagree. I don't think he's the worst human being, but from my education in going through philosophy, it seems like the philosophers that get referenced the most are derivative of Kant that happen to be collectivists, right? It seems like those were the people that, and right, wrong, or indifferent, they caught their influence from Kant. And I shouldn't necessarily blame Kant for the derivative material that's created through his influence, but if you work your way back and you look at, who influenced who, like some of the nastiest philosophies that you can read seem to circle back and reference Kant as their go-to.
Because it's idealized. I think that's a problem that you don't talk about reality.
Mohamed had some of its biggest wins yet this week, and we're breaking it all down on Caitlin Sinclair.
For me, with the influence being so old, I look at it more as individualism. I don't look at it as collectivism, but you can argue from a collectivist standpoint that your duty is to do for others, but you get stuck in this trap because let's say I have a universal need to end malaria in Africa. Fantastic. The problem is what you talk about. You don't know how that's going to that's what I see.
You're here today for your probable cause conference. You're asking that
Did you just break up to me, Russia? Because I heard break up a couple of times. No, I caught it.
Coming
That might
over
be
because the security for the mall
I should kill every that comes here.
This bowl is cooking right now.
I don't care. That's what I'm
Okay,
at.
okay, look, I'm just trying to talk to you, okay?
Okay, I'm gonna sleep right here so you can do what you wanna do.
Okay.
Either protecting the family or I'm gonna destroy your human being.
Did I say that?
Shh, just listen.
No, I'm telling you right now.
Listen to
No,
what-
no, we're not doing
You know
that.
what?
Hey, you better step back, dude, step back.
I'm gonna your up.
Okay, you better step back right
I
now.
said get the out of here now.
Step back, right? I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna fight. Get off me, get off me. You come any closer, I'm gonna shoot you. I'm gonna shoot you, dude. I'm gonna shoot you. I'm gonna shoot. 6 to the stop, quick. Get up, stop. Get up, stop. I'm gonna shoot you. I'm gonna shoot you, dude.
Shoot.
Get off me.
How about
Stop.
Dolly?
Stop.
This is a big
Stop. Stop moving. I'm gonna continue to shoot you. Stop.
nice sleep.
Are we
Shots fired, shots fired.
I think Dr. Mitch is here. I think Dippity is probably resting. Dawn is probably fast asleep. Dolly, I would imagine, is probably multitasking. Yeah, I think they're around.
I'm just coming over because the security for the mall.
Yeah, I'm not gonna move.
Not sure I want to have
I
a
should
vote
kill
philosophy,
every.
though.
It is
Well, we
absolutely
got the title change and we got a brilliant poll.
No, it's an ideology. Zionism is an exterminationist.
I've been talking about this. I think our literacy rate in America is so bad.
Yes, I do.
I venture to guess that we're,
Didn't have one.
30, maybe 30% of the
I
population.
need that shit genuinely. Who gives a fuck? No one gives a fuck what you drive. No one gives a
Well,
fuck.
what I found refreshing is even though there's a joke, I just had a disagreement about philosopher.
A Louisiana
It's cool to talk to somebody that's read it. I think I told you guys I was in a room
on non-violence and
the house called Chillism.
I ain't never got none of that
And
money.
two guys
I'm just saying,
went
I'm on
off for
purpose.
45
What I'm about
minutes
to say
arguing
with
about
that.
Hegel.
Million.
And as I was listening, I thought,
As the most
man,
pro-worker
these guys don't
city
seem to
in
know what the fuck
America,
they're
it
talking
turns
about.
out you can be
And when I got up on the
pro-worker
stage
and
to
pro-business.
interrogate
And
it,
so I
I
just
learned
want
that
to
neither of them had
dismantle
ever
this
read
notion that
Hegel.
somehow our city
It's
is
amazing.
hostile or
It seems to be a
inimical
popular
towards
trend,
interests
and then
of the
just
business
last
community.
night,
But I've
we
always
had
said
somebody
that
get on the stage saying
we're
that,
just not for sale. We have to do everything in our
he
power.
likes to set people straight about the Christian Bible. And then I asked him, I said, oh, you're familiar with the Christian Bible? And he said, well, I've never read it. And so I don't know what the fuck this trend is where people want to argue about things that they've never read. But I do appreciate talking to people that, even if we have a different interpretation of things, it's really cool. Like, if and people disagree, it's amazing.
When they have to work on it,
We're following a story out of Puerto Rico tonight. ABC News
No, Joe, they've never read it. Like, if they had listened to the audiobook, I would have credit for that. That's fine. That's, I think,
that's what I'm saying. I didn't
concert.
when you say I think when you talk to people, you get a sense, just the way they speak English, that they're not getting a proper English education. I mean it in a kind way, because if you don't identify a problem, you can't fix it. I don't mean it to bash people that aren't being taught to read. But I wonder how much of the technology is diverting people in their brain waves and their dopamine from wanting to read. It's not, can I read a book in 4 days, or can I watch a TikTok for 4 seconds?
TikTok for books?
Yeah, that's a good one. There it is. The TikTok version of Great Expectations. Yeah, 14 seconds.
Yeah, they have, I think, YouTube influencers that are, I don't know how popular they are, but they're influencers. They read books, different books out loud.
So, I mean, is technology destroying our, is it occupying a large amount of our brains and making people maybe not stupider, although I would argue ignorance and stupidity are close cousins, but certainly, I mean, I watch on YouTube, they they ask questions to college kids like, who were the participants in the Civil War? Or, you know, like simple, stupid questions they can't answer. It amazes me.
Can I approach this from a totally different area? I'm based in Europe, so it's like 25 in the morning, so it's very late. My son, who's 16, has a place in a US high school, and I've been trying to get a visa from the US Embassy, but they're here in the UK. And it's been very difficult because they've said we don't have ties to any specific country, but we actually do. My son has a Swiss and a British passport, and we're living in Spain. And then they came back to us and said, well, actually, I'm looking at your son's social media profile. He's 16. And they're saying, yeah, there's no signs that he has any specific ties or allies to any specific country. He's 16. I've told him not to post anything. But the fact that they're actually following your social media profile, and then they hold it against you because you're not actually posting anything about where you're living. Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. I'd love for my son to come and have his education now from 16 back in the US. We have a place in a school, but trying to get a student visa, it's very restrictive right now. And I know I'm throwing the cat amongst the pigeons here because I know you're having a completely different conversation here. But you know what? Just trying to get a student visa, it will be a great asset to the US. As I know that the US will be a great asset to him. But trying to get as a foreign student into the UK and US at the moment is actually really not very. It's not easy. Anyway, I'm throwing the cat amongst the pigeons. I know, but I'm just listening to your conversation, and I love everything you guys are talking about. And I'd love my son to be able to be a part of it. But it's very difficult for as an outsider to come into your environment and to be with you guys.
I love a mother's heart. I love a mother's heart. Wendy, I just want to encourage you. And from where you're coming from, on Clubhouse, I'm sure you're trying everything. I'm sure you'll get a visa.
I hope you will. I'm now going through the embassy here in Spain where we're living. But yeah, I'll keep on trying.
It sounds like a new idea for new business, like setting up social media profiles with potential students, standing in front of the Washington Monument and waving at the flag.
But it was almost as if my son was penalised because he didn't have a social media profile. It's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no answers. I don't know anything. All I know is it's gotten a lot harder with the current administration. They're almost xenophobic. I mean, somebody with a Swiss and British passport, they should be actively recruiting your son on a daily basis.
I totally agree. I think he would be a great asset. And but yes, it's what it is.
Just tell him he was just a little too good for us. That we're, our country is not at his level.
Tell him to come to this room. We'll give him a warm welcome in this room.
Thank you. Well, I will wake him up. It's probably, what is it now? It's almost 5 in the morning here, so maybe I won't wake him up now, but yes, I'll tell him. Thank you guys.
Maybe we could start writing some recommendation letters from, we've got all these people here. I don't know, I'm just throwing it out. What the hell, I don't know if it'll help or hurt. They're going to figure out who we are.
I think at the end of the day, we all need to figure out who we are. But
Cannot keep us out here all day, lady.
Sir, please return to your vehicle. We're doing everything we can.
It's not good enough. Where's your...
Well, ladies, please return to your vehicle. It's not gonna hold on.
No, my daughter is...
not very healthy in Alabama.
down in Alabama, in the United States. I'm assuming, and I'm sorry if I'm assuming, you can pay for it, you can probably afford it. I think an immigration lawyer would be your best bet, just like me.
No, you're absolutely right, and I'm in touch with a lawyer, and we'll see what we get to. But it's just been a bit frustrating. It would have been a bit of a no-brainer that he could get into school, but obviously not.
Well, you can send them down to Hilton in South Africa. They're taking international students, and they've got a great rugby program.
Where is that?
Hilton Academy in South Africa. It's a great boarding school for kids. If you can't get them in there, you might see if you can do that. They got a great rugby program.
Oh wow. Okay.
You know, I don't know that he needs to go that far. He's already got the next World Cup. Right. Hey, Wendy, why Montgomery, Alabama, of all places?
Because my partner is from Alabama, so he's there at the moment. He's been there for the last quite a bit of time.
It's like morally okay. It's so, like we said, socially acceptable. So yeah, it is kind of a gateway into that, unfortunately.
My friends who were alcoholics over my life, they've always wanted to reminisce about the old times. It seems like, they want to drink and then play songs of the old times and tell stories of the old times. It's just like a repeat record.
David.
You know, they're in a tight situation. They're just looking for somebody to help them. So yes, you should do more research, but I don't blame the victim. I blame the scammer. And those people are just despicable.
But it has lower single core speed.
My truckload.
What do you bring up in Brazil?
Anyhow.
Well, thank you for sharing. I wish I had, some great advice, but I appreciate you sharing it.
Watch these special forces make a movie-like arrest on a plane.
It out into
It all
the
started
universe,
when
maybe a good
reports came
solution
in
will
about a
come
passenger causing trouble before the plane had even taken off. 3 masked operators boarded calmly and slowly started moving toward their target. Then they politely asked passengers, especially those with kids, to move toward the front of the plane for a moment, and then they got to work.
I did work for a company in a city called Dothan, Alabama. It's like a suburb to Montgomery. A friend of mine bought a big property many years ago. And it's I found it to be very insulated, that Montgomery area, old families and traditions and things.
The U.S. Marines
I
or
grew
the
up
Navy SEALs.
in New
Marines
York,
are known for being lean
I
and
wasn't
explosively
exactly
strong.
welcome
Their training
there.
focuses on full body conditioning and building
Yeah,
mental
no, I
toughness.
get that.
You'll find
I can
plenty of
understand
muscular
that.
Marines,
It's,
but actually, size isn't the main goal. It's more about efficiency on the battlefield.
Gangsters would often rap about
How do you guys say, like, Mama, apple pie, and, Donald Trump?
They found them to be very polite, even when they kind of wanted to tell me something not polite.
Yeah, no, I get that. And in fact, my partner left many years ago. He had gone back for very family reasons. Didn't actually quite agree with the rest of his family and how they've living their lives. But yeah, it's there are worse places.
This is the craziest grenade launcher you've never heard.
It's a very interesting story. You're going to have a very interesting biography to write someday.
Oh God, if you did my whole biography, yeah, one day.
I can tell by the example, this is the forward to the rest of the book. It already sounds quite compelling.
Do you eat barbecue ribs?
Yeah, I have to actually read, right? Then I'd have to be somebody who actually reads.
True. It's true.
Do you eat the southern barbecued ribs, Wendy?
Oh, I love barbecue ribs. But yeah, since I left Alabama, I haven't had it once. Here in Spain, they're pretty miserable.
What is that? Anybody famous? What is that? Never seen him before. He's like famous homeless nigga? Who is that?
Hey, chill out.
So do we know if the South African rugby team is going to be any good in the next World Cup?
Over $400 million.
No blacks, no Jews, no gays. High up in the Ozark Hills in the states of Arkansas, dozens of people have been working hard, building houses
How many Kangaroos
it's called Return to the Land, and it is a town open to white people only. They are millennials and Gen Z, and this is a new update of age-old prejudice.
What we've done here is
I don't know that ever left. I think they just switch sides.
Over who our neighbors are, and that is just for the sake of preserving, our culture.
And that culture effectively was saying, this is a white
Well,
culture,
I'm
a
not going
white
to go
sandy
into too
place.
much detail, but all
White
I'm
American
going to say
culture.
is that
But
my
what this sounds like
ex-business partner was South
is
African,
bringing
who I've
back
known for many,
segregation.
many years.
Is that a fair assessment?
It's free association.
Basically, every time
So
we
we're not trying to
South
keep
Africa, he bought
other
us a
people
Rolex
down.
watch.
This is a
My money
small
to do so.
settlement in the middle of the
I'm trying to do
Ozarks.
with all that
How many
stuff
kept
now,
out?
but it's,
Oh,
yeah, not
well,
all
I mean,
South
you
Africans
don't
are
let
like South Africans,
everyone
but I've also
into
had
your
some
home.
very,
Around
very,
40
very
people
friends
live
South
here.
Africans.
Hundreds more
So,
from across the world
it's,
have paid to be
life's
members.
complicated.
And while the men do the physical labour, the women take care of the children who live here
You have
full
an
time.
exciting life, that's all I can say.
If you're part of the community,
Well, I think it's exciting. I'm not quite sure if it's exciting, but yeah, it's not good.
You might be wondering how any of this can be legal. Return to the Land is structured as a private members association, which they believe allows them to discriminate on the basis of ethnicity, along with other factors.
Wendy, what part of South Africa?
And has yet to be tested
I was
in
gonna say
court,
Kitover.
and may well fail. The
No,
Arkansas
so, yeah,
Attorney General has said his
absolutely.
office
That was
is
my-
now reviewing the
my
matter as a
grandparents.
result of
And
our
then,
reporting, and that there is no
grew
room
up
for
in the
racial
UK,
discrimination in
spent,
Arkansas or anywhere
30
in a
years
free
in Geneva.
society.
How could that
Oh,
be?
Blacks,
okay,
no Jews.
more time in Geneva.
This is a scene of a judge schooling a black woman. The cause of the incident was that 28-year-old Cassandra Jackson did not submit the documents within the designated time, which made her very angry and led to an argument with the staff in the hallway. At that time, Judge Michael Bachman was presiding over the trial in court and rushed out of the courtroom upon hearing arguments. After Bachman ran all the way to catch up with Jackson, he began escorting her back to the courtroom and to even grab her shoulder. I did not go until I pressed her onto the jury bench after entering the courtroom. Subsequently, Bachman was arrested by the police on charges of contempt of court, and the police even forcibly dragged her out of the courtroom due to her resistance. Jackson was not released until 2 days later, when another judge ordered the dismissal of her charges.
I've never seen a judge behave in this manner. It's as if they decided he's going to be the bailiff and the sheriff and the judge and the prosecutor.
Come back, he's going to sound like this.
Chase after somebody, drag them back into the courtroom. Actually, if you go to Atlanta, they actually have one of the largest South African cities. Literally right after apartheid left, they humongous group of them settled and started a lot of businesses. So if you're looking for more and more of that, it's there's anything like that you can probably find in Atlanta when you're visiting the States and you're homesick.
Thank you.
Now,
That's fine. Thank you very much.
Get away from it. I was. Go ahead. Fuck that. Get the.
What is that?
How do you think the U.S. should cut the national debt? What do you think they should do?
I'm coming here. I see it. I don't know what
That's a really, I mean, my background is mostly on private banking. It's so complicated. Tariffs that are being imposed on countries at the moment. There isn't a clear picture on where everything's going. It's a really complicated picture. And I know it'll all work itself out in the end, but boy, is it complex?
It's funny how just sitting back over working out. That's optimistic, and I don't know a lot about you know much more about tariffs history and all these things. But what do you think now? Do you think it'll work in some you seem to be really critical about it?
What the fuck is wrong with you? You out here taking from homeless people, nigga? And you fucking home?
The tariffs aren't going to be long-term sustainable, so all they're going to do is short-term protect some of this. It's not going to do anything to pay $37 trillion of debt that we have, or the $100 trillion of unfunded liabilities. Because it won't do that, I think we should be thinking of new ideas, things that would actually help us to reduce the debt. I think you're absolutely right. I don't have new ideas. I think we've got I think everybody has. Come on, some new ideas. That's amazing.
Well, the new idea I think especially pertains to rugby because I'd love to act.
Let's take a look at this. This white president.
This is our country. Why are we being beat up? Because we're doing a peaceful march.
Was to do a symbolic walk across the bridge.
Hire them
A
for
symbolic walk across the bridge.
salary.
This is our country.
Survive by doing it. So all those guys that don't make the NFL that still want to smash people's faces in, I think rugby would be an excellent opportunity. And I feel like if we did that in the United States and focused on that, then we could actually I'm not even talking about sevens. I'm talking about the World Cup within the next 3 years. What do you think, Wendy? Do you think that's possible?
I totally think that's possible. Totally, I'm a big rugby fan, and NFL as well. But yeah, totally.
I think we can translate that. I kept telling my friends in South Africa, I was like, I said we are absolutely if we could do that, if we could grab the guys right after college, the ones that don't make it that are still talented athletes, do that. I think we actually could be competitive. I mean, we are already competitive, but I mean like absolutely like properly like New Zealand was when they first hit the scene with these monsters. Do you think we could do it?
I reckon we can do it. Let's do it together.
Okay, we'll have to set it up in Alabama. It's actually I'm familiar with the area, so we can. It's nice and hot down there, so it'll be great prep for going down to Cape Town.
It is actually, and yeah. Okay, just need to get out there and get the beat.
The reason I'm talking to you is your wealth management. You do all these things. You need to find us sponsors, Swiss sponsors that are more than willing to throw tons of money at U.S. rugby with the expectation that it's more of a commodities trade. They just make their bets for the World Cup in the future, and I think it'll pay off that way. What do you think? Is that illegal?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great plan.
Perfect. Okay, I just want to make.
Yeah.
is freaking.
Guys, I'm on Eastern Standard Time. It was wonderful to talk to all of you. Thank you so much for people who gave me information I didn't know or challenged my concepts today. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and catch you soon.
Right on, Joe.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock in the morning for me, so I better get a couple of hours sleep before I get up and running. So, lovely to speak to you all, and hope to catch up soon.
Yeah, no problem. This room will stay open, even if I'm the only person here. It'll also be streamed on YouTube.
You know, one of the most definitive ways, in certain ways, to read more is with what's called books. A book is generally paper with printed words, letters, and a binding, and a title, and a cover, sometimes a dust jacket, but they're called books. Many people have not heard of these ancient memory recording and storage devices known as books, because everyone now is looking at Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and Clownhouse and X, and they have forgotten that there's these ancient historical storage devices full of incredible intelligence. It's spelled book. The first letter is B, second letter is O, K is the fourth letter. S implies a plural, meaning you might have more than one. And they're called, again, books. You may have heard of them. I'm not talking about, college textbooks. I'm talking about maybe a book from 2,000 years ago, or 2,300 years ago, or 1,700 years ago. Turns out that if you haven't read that book yet, it's just sitting out there waiting to be incorporated into your consciousness so you can implement that information in your personal life. Again, they're called books. The best sailing book I ever read was called How to Sail. And unfortunately, I, can't really sail my sailboat because the motor kind of, hits that little fin tail at the back of the boat, and it turns out I don't really know how to sail because I never read the book on how to sail. Instead, I've just made it into a floating love boat, and haven't been able to enjoy the deep waters and the effortless joy of sailing and not getting nauseated and maybe not getting back to your slip because your Chinese motor from eBay fails you and you don't want to have to call the Coast Guard to get towed back in.
You know what, John? My youngest son is 16. He's the one I'm trying to get into Montgomery Academy in Alabama. But part of the reason is that he needs to read books. And I think that's still very much part of the US education, that you actually have to read so many books. Whereas here in Europe, it's just been non-existent. And such a shame. Such a shame. I totally agree. So important.
Yeah, I don't like to just talk, I like to talk by reading books. Sometimes on this app, I will open up a room called John Kitover Reads a Book. Part of one of my houses called the Book Club. And I actually take one of these binded pieces of paper and I go page to page and I read from top to bottom everything I see in a slow and deliberate manner. And sometimes I comprehend what I'm reading, sometimes I get distracted, but that's pretty much one way to read a book, is to record yourself reading it out loud. Maybe live stream yourself reading a book, and then listen to the recording for maximum comprehension. Because there's so many distractions in life. You might be thinking about this or that while you're reading and not really integrate what you're reading, comprehend what you're reading. So if you record yourself reading a book, you can listen to your own audiobook, and then you can maximize that comprehension and integration into your brain.
Fabulous. Thank
It's
you.
called reading a book.
John, are we ready for the book club? Should we put this together for this week?
I'm ready. I'm ready to read a book, and I don't need to hear this person and that person and this person and that person saying the same things on Clown House. If they had a book and it was something good, I would give them 5 minutes of my ear. I'd rather hear them read a book to me.
What if we picked a monthly book for everyone to read, and then on a daily basis we spend an hour where people come in and they read for 5 minutes. Whoever shows up on the stage gets to read 5 minutes, and then wherever we end up, we end up. If we don't get all through the book reading it out loud, we can read it privately. But every day we come back for 1 hour to read from that book, and we do that once a month. We'll get through 12 books throughout the year, and everybody will have read it together.
I'm all for it, because I know unless leadership rises to the challenge, people will continue doing the same thing that they have done on this app for over 5 years, which is just have casual conversations, primarily about race and racial identity politics.
I'm up for it too. Even though I'm in Europe, I'll find a way to sit in with you guys. What's the first book that we read, John?
Sorry, Mojo, I stepped out of my office here. What did you say? Did you say you wanted to read Thomas Paine, or what did you say?
What's the first book? What do we want to read?
I would start with The Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. That to me is a very universal book that many people will never touch, read, enjoy, experience the beauty of the Tao the wisdom of the Tao.
You think we can get a decent amount of participation for something like this?
Yeah, and you can get through the whole book in just about an hour. It's not very long. And everybody loves the Tao.
What do you think when you think of the political division, like Democrats, Republicans, a book that they probably have not read, probably should read, that would be of interest to them?
Yeah, I think the Tao Te Ching is the book because it deals with politics, it deals with wisdom, it deals with governance, it deals with, personal, emotional management, intelligence. It's just people. I really enjoy that book. I've read it many times. It's called the Tao Te Ching, the Book of Changes, or the Book of the Great Way, and it was written by a Chinese philosopher slash cleric, I suppose, in the government, who the rumor is he wanted to leave the town, and then the guard said, "You can't leave without giving us great, your great wisdom and instruction." So he sat down and wrote the book. But it's, uh, you know, I've read Confucius as well, and whenever I read Confucius, I'm like, wow, Americans don't know shit. We are so fucked. Um, because good governance, ethics, morals, in my opinion, when I was in undergrad, we had to take I guess, an ethics and a morals type class. I can't remember what they called it, but it's just not enough. Most young people today are not educated in virtue, reading Aristotle or reading anything to really give them something to think about when challenged with possibly, making a bad decision. So to me, it's like, look at Jasmine Crockett, ask her what she thinks, morals, ethics, and virtues means, and to make a demonstration or make an example or tell us something about wisdom, or what is the source of wisdom, what is the source of love, the source of intelligence. Um, if they, I'm just saying that, to me, the Tao Te Ching is a good starting point, especially for Americans, because it's a perspective from China that is universal. And you know, uh, if you just read the Bible and that's your go-to book, this one really complements your go-to book. It's a very complementary book towards your pre-existing thought process.
Yeah, I'm up for it. I think we should put that together. I'm also wondering if there's books that would intrigue the lefties on Clubhouse to come and participate. Like if we were to like read like The Veil of Ignorance, for example, would that pull them in?
You could read Rules for Radicals by Saul Dialinsky, because ironically enough, the beginning of that book talks about Taoism and Buddhism, and getting no's and how you organize, by getting no's. It's kind of an interesting introduction in Saul Dialinsky's book about how to politically organize by, I guess, just by communication. You know, people might like that, Rules for Radicals, because we could basically, we want to bait and switch them to bring them in, making them think that they are a radical and that we are giving them the education they're looking for. But actually, what we would be doing is de-escalating their anarchy.
I'm being summoned into a room in healthy debates. I'm gonna go over there. We can keep this room open, but I'm gonna go check it out real quick. You guys wanna come in? That'd be cool.
I'm blocked from Healthy Debates, but I do have an anonymous.
And when people started talking about that, those kinds of things, then things got very.
Alan, I need you to hold on 1 second. I'll come back to you, I promise. But I'm not sure how long Mojo has. For those who don't know, I just texted him offline to ask him if he can come in for a minute. There's a friend. Reach out to him. Hey, you got a minute? He's like, sure, come on in. So, Mojo, I just want you to know your name was being brought up a few times.
By who?
And various people.
Like who?
Like various people. So
name them and shame them.
I'm not shaming anybody, but I just wanted to say that, people are bringing up the fact, people are scratching their head about what's going on in the muff, right?
What do you mean? If
Monica.
Have they never been in the muff?
Maybe some of them haven't, but people are scratching. The reason I asked you to come in because I wanted you to have a chance to hear what's being said, and I didn't want you to think anything bad was being said. So, questions were asked like, they don't understand the association between you and Monica. And my stance was, I don't give a fuck. He's still my friend. Maybe he got bored on this app and he wants to try something new. I don't know.
What's wrong with Monica?
What's right with Monica?
Well, let's start. She's smart. She's funny. She generates good conversation. I mean, what's to not like?
Well, you already know my story. She doxed my family, so for me, I'll never forgive her for that. I don't give a fuck if she's the next Hemingway. When you cross that red line, dox somebody's family, Raj, that's it for me. And I don't care what you do in your rooms. And I told people it's nobody's business what he does. There's a method to his madness. He doesn't have to answer to anybody. And I just wanted you, Roger is a good lad. I just wanted you to be here to hear what was being said, so nobody comes back to you and says, Roger, did you hear what they said about you? No, I'm not playing that.
Well, so what are people saying? Look, I'm here. Who wants to throw the first stone? Let's do.
I like in the muff.
Yeah, I don't really have any grievances. I mean, I like it. I haven't really been saying much.
I don't really give a fuck.
Well,
I haven't really been saying much about that, but
I don't have any grievance with it. Then don't get in the conversation. The grievance is people are scratching their head about your association with Monica. You don't have to answer for that because you're a grown-ass man and it's your space. David, you want to say something?
No, I'll be real. Roger, I've had great times and loved your rooms and loved what we do and your support of me. It's just I've spent a couple years here being irritated by her, and people brand her as a vile person, and people can be branded wrong. It's just hard for me in the room being elevated, and maybe that's my problem.
It isn't your problem, Dave.
I think that
David
association with her, given her history, will go upside down and big enough, strong enough, whatever. We know you have a method to your madness. I just hate to see it.
Well, listen, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. There's been rooms that Monica's done that I didn't quite enjoy, and there's friends of mine that have said that have brought things to my attention of things that they didn't enjoy. But my relationship with her, like my personal experience, my lived experience, Clubhouse has taught me one thing: lived experience, the most important thing. And my lived experience is Monica's always been joyful. She's laughing. She giggles. She's polite. That's my lived experience of dealing with Monica on this app. I get why people might say things about her that are negative. And if you have a personal experience with her, that's your personal experience. I can't go and fight everybody's personal grievance with people. People have personal grievances with me. People misunderstand me. I personally think that Monica's the most misunderstood person on this entire app. And I enjoy having her in the room. I enjoy her contributions. She did a room the other day talking about Roland Fryer. I thought it was very educational. I thought it was a very nuanced position on DEI, something that you don't hear on this app very often. And I think she brings good content. I think she curates conversations that would not be curated if she wasn't on the app. So I appreciate that about her. I appreciate a lot of things about a lot of people in this app, and people that I disagree with. Some people I agree with completely and I think are completely despicable. I mean, we all have our own experiences, and I'm not here to tell anybody to change their minds. Have your own experience, have your own thoughts, but I enjoy her in my space. And what I won't do is I'm not going to bow down to anyone, and not a mob of people, even concerned friends. If I'm in a room and this person is bringing value to a conversation, to me, that's it. That's it. We're on a social audio app. We're talking to each other. And here's one of the most intelligent people on the app that has a unique experience. And because there's so many people that line up to hate her, it does make it a little bit punchy. I won't deny that, but that's okay. I mean, people feel the same way about me. And so, look, if this is like a witch hunt for Monica, I'm just wrong.
That's cap. You can't compare how people feel about you compared to how they feel about her. That's bullshit.
Sure I can, because people misunderstand me and people say things about me that are untrue. And I'll just say this. I defend Monica on the false accusations that people have, and then there's accusations that people have that, are personal beefs between them. I can't adjudicate all those things. I get on this app, I navigate the app to be able to, to entertain myself, to be able to open spaces for other people. I'm not telling anybody that they have to love her or have to love her content. I actually find myself, I enjoy it. I enjoy being in rooms with her more than most people on this app. Period.
Okay, glad we cleared that up. So I'm going to do a quick room reset. Mojo, I don't know if you're going to hang out or not. I hope you do. How safe are you on social audio? Con men and con women. Is social audio safe? Absolutely. Not at all.
Talked about politics. I've talked about let's all complain right now. It's not all just interpersonal and fluff. It's been great topics in the muff. And they change like in a heartbeat when things slow down.
So let me ask a question to the room. I'm sorry, Mojo. Let me say, how many people think that's really Mojo's picture? Because that amazes me that they think that's you. Go with.
I always thought that was you, Roger.
No, Roger's like 300 pound.
Do you like the new one?
It's a composite, right?
Yeah, but it's the same guy. It's always been. So is that
I don't know
not
if
the
it
real?
is,
Is
but
that not your
Roger
real
and Brent
face?
are actually the same person.
It's a similar.
I don't know, Roger. That scarf is a little bit suspect.
People don't realize that Roger and Brent are the same people.
I told ChatGPT to give me a mashup of Boss Hog, Roger Mayhem, and Dr. Adams, and this is what it's.
You got Castro. Looks like Castro's brother. I love it.
So if I understand the critique here, people don't like Monica. That's the gist. Okay.
Some people don't like Monica. I don't have an issue with Monica.
Okay. One of the greatest features that was ever added to this app, it was added very early, is a leave quietly button. It's up in the upper right. What I find fascinating is people that are too chicken shit to come to me or come on the stage and talk about what's on their mind, but they want to go to other rooms and they want to talk their shit. Just know, I see it. It's weak. And yeah, I see you. That's fine.
Okay, on that note, guys, I got to go. Nye, Amanda, Mojo, you want to keep it open? What are you going to do? You want to move it over to In the Muff?
You can shut it down, JB, as far as, this space.
Yeah,
but that's up to you.
Listen at this point.
Yeah, Mojo, why don't you open up a room in the muff and let's talk about this COVID attack with this guy that targeted, what was it, the CDC headquarters in Atlanta?
I don't know. I don't know if some of the people in this room are ready for that conversation, because you never know who might show up in the muff, and it might make people feel uncomfortable.
And maybe you could talk about flamboyant ascots. All right, I'm out of here, guys. I'm going to shut the room. I think, Mojo, you opening the room or not?
I probably will. In fact, it might still be open over there. It's being streamed live onto YouTube, like most channels are.
All right, so I'm just going to shut this one down. Everybody, great conversation. Great. Have a great night. Speak to you later.
Bye, JB.
Agreement with someone, they don't know how to accept that, right? So they go above and beyond to try to dox you or find information about you. Now it's like it's total chaos. So why would
So, Adams, what's the deal with this psychopath who was shooting up the CDC because he had an adverse reaction to the COVID-19 vaccine spike proteins?
You know, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I'm not. I've just been seeing the headlines moving around all day.
Let me just say, whoever was talking shit in that other room, let them talk shit. As she witnessed in that other room, when I went over there, nobody had anything to say. They didn't really want to get it off their chest. I will not ever succumb to the heckler's veto. If I want to do a room with who I want to do the room with, I'll do it. And I've navigated this app the way that I want to navigate this app, and I won't be told how to do it, and I won't be pressured because people have sensitivities about certain people. If I don't like those certain people, or if they don't follow the rules, I might do something about that. But I'm not going to bow down to other people's wants. Nobody can control me. It's fucking weird. But a lot of really, really weird. I'll get the whole story later. I'm sure there was a lot of people that had things to say that would just be too pussy to say it in front of me. Just funny. But when I hear who was saying all their shit, rest assured, I will absolutely be doing rooms to talk about them, because that's what we do here on Clubhouse.
You know, I like all Clubhouse people, even the worst people, but I like them because they're on Clown House, and so many people I know in the real world do not want to use this stupid app. And I don't fault the people that don't want to use it, and the people that do use it, I like them because I use it, you know? And to me, I wish more people, you know, were willing to come into an app like this to have conversations as opposed to like spamming me with their personal stuff. It's like, don't call me and talk to me for 30 minutes or want to gossip. It's like, could you come on Clown House and maybe be a part of my podcast? Because, you know, I'd rather kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to share their criticism of In the Muff, I'm all ears.
Anybody? Going once? Twice?
I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, you know, it would be one thing, like, if the criticism was legitimate, then why when I show up at a space where people were critiquing, like, why do they not have anything to say? I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. It's fascinating.
I think some people want to protect their emotional stability, you know, by not engaging with certain people because they do become so emotionally unregulated when they're with certain people, which is a bigger indicator that you still have more work to do. You know, if you can't get along with everybody on this app and give them their space or listen to them, I can't understand why you're going to listen to people who are wasting your time and giving you malcontent content, you know, the bad content. So if somebody's pleasant and they have something to talk about or they're just pleasant, like that goes a long way. But if you're obnoxious and a drag, I mean, it's a total waste of time. But people like their control.
I just thought it was interesting that in a room that's not in this house, without me being present or without a certain somebody being present, that the critique was that they don't understand why rooms would happen between me and other people. That, by the way, I mod a lot of people in these rooms. I in fact, in the last week or so, I pretty much modded every woman that comes in here. Now, I have a playful banter with a certain somebody that I'm learning that people don't like, and that's fine. That's fine. You don't. That person probably doesn't care if they're not on your Christmas card list. It wouldn't bother her, and I just don't get it. Like, but is there a topic that's bad? Is there something that happens when me and this horrible human being get together that all of a sudden the content is so dark and so offensive that people can't handle it? Because I didn't hear any real criticism. All I heard was, it's weird that you mod rooms with so-and-so. And I don't know. I'd love to hear a real critique.
But how do they critique that when Monica is in chillism with a diverse cast of characters? That argument that they're making just doesn't hold up. Since she's a mod, Monica is a mod. I don't know if she's in the room. Yeah, Scarlett's in here right now. Scarlett, well, anyways, the comments speak for themselves.
Yeah, I don't get it. Look, and I do get that people could not like certain people. There's plenty of people that don't like me. There's plenty of people that don't like the person in question. I just don't understand how that became content. Actually, I do, because I'm probably going to return the favor, and I'll probably ask some questions. For example, David, I appreciate, because David outed himself as saying that he had some critique, but he was willing to share it, and he had a balanced opinion. But more importantly, David and I have a long history of chatting with each other on multiple topics. He's entitled to his opinion. I'm just curious why, when I got in there, everyone, it was almost as if when I got in there, everyone was afraid to say what was on their mind, except for David.
Thanks. I appreciate all the time we spent together. I mean, that's seriously, I've actually learned. So can't say that about time with everybody on this app. And I've had to hear an opposing view politically that I wouldn't normally entertain and process it, and that's been good for me. You go.
Can someone do a recap for Dawn and I, because I wasn't.
Me too. And yeah, I don't like you either, Mojo.
Interestingly enough, it was a room about con men and con women of Clubhouse.
What?
Did they expose JB?
No, listen. This is not what we're going to do. I want to just focus on the fact that if people have critique of me or anybody else, they should bring it up. I'm not going to turn this into like some drama thing where we then go and try to drag other people. That's not what this is about.
Yeah, no.
Don't get the wrong impression. 90% of that room was talking about cons on Clubhouse, and recently one was exposed on Chatter. A woman who faked being a police officer, had needs for her children, and conned people. And so,
how did my name come up?
God, I'm trying to think, because we were 90% done, and it just was like
we were talking about how much we love. I don't know. We were actually, JB was giving flowers to everybody, right? We were talking about all the different Clubhouse characters and how great Roger is, blah, 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 blah. Right? And then we talked about in the muff.
I'm sad, because Healthy Debates doesn't usually
That's his madness. He doesn't have to answer to anybody. And I just wanted to, yeah, Roger is a good lad.
Monica, I mean, it goes without saying, Monica, you know how, and I ride with JB, so this is not me talking shit about JB, but Monica, I suppose it goes without saying, You and JB have history, so he was just talking about the history, briefly reminding everyone of his history with you on the app. And I don't know exactly when Roger's name came up, but once it came up, as it relates to you, a lot of voices joined in. For the record, I said absolutely nothing. I want no smoke for either one of you, okay? I don't really care about this drama. But yeah, a lot of people had, they felt some way about Roger's Clubhouse relationship with you, for lack of a better way of saying it. And no one was hating on Roger from what I can remember. And it was primarily JB just expressing his frustrations with you. Is that fair to say for those who are in the room?
So just to give you some context,
very accurate.
And live, the replays were on. So if you guys want to hear it, then go and listen to the replays.
Yeah, and just a short form, just to give like an objective perspective. I don't normally come up here and even talk, but I was in the room. So essentially, JB said, regardless of what controversy has maybe been going on with Mojo, he's a real one. He'll be my friend forever and whatever. And then somebody said, hey, can you recount what you mean by the controversy? And this is when it came up like, oh, he's been doing rooms with Monica, XYZ, and then everybody kind of got into the conversation, and then, that's kind of how it all started.
Well, I will say this. If I thought that people were going to get, agitated by the fact that Monica and I share space, I would have been sharing space with her a lot earlier. Look, she's always done her own thing on this app. I've done my own thing on this app. Hell, her and I have had like major disagreements, like times when I'm like in her back channel, like giving her the finger and telling her like things that I disagreed with, and I don't even need to bring those things up. But I genuinely believe that she's one of the smartest women on this app. I think that she curates great conversations. And in fact, there's a recording of the room that she did about Roland Fryer. If you guys want to listen to that, you can get an understanding of the kind of content that she creates that I enjoy.
Wait, you were fingering Monica in the back channel?
He's always in her back channel. Yeah, that probably could have been rephrased, but okay. Adams, you had some content you wanted to share about a shooter?
Oh, no. I mean, I was just generally asking what happened. For me personally, I'm not really a fan of just continuing to talk about these type of things over and over and over again. But, it is what it is. It needed to get out the way. But does anybody have any updates as to what happened? They're saying that the motivation was that he got sick from the vaccine. I mean, what do we know?
Is this something that happened a few days ago, that one?
Was it a few days ago?
I have to check now.
Yeah, it was Friday.
Let's not forget about the... Go ahead, dude.
I just want to make sure there wasn't another one, but the Friday one I was aware of. Please, you go.
I was also going to point out that East Lansing murderer who killed her manager at McDonald's, her last name turns out to be Muhammad.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I just might have been given a copy of the room replay. I don't know if people are.
Now, we don't have to listen to it now, but I do think that rooms like that, where it's like this stuff comes up all the time. Like, I'm guilty of it. Like, if Bima says something stupid in another room, even despite the fact that we have a rule that says don't bring drama from other rooms into this house, it happens. We do these things. I just thought the interesting part was that, JP, who I genuinely, he's right. I consider him a friend. We talk offline. We talk about a whole host of shit, from family to fucking food to pro wrestling, all kinds of shit. I have a good relationship with the guy, and I have nothing bad to say about him. That being said, he and I don't necessarily agree on opinions about other people, and that's that is what it is, and so we're not gonna get, nobody's gonna get content. There's not gonna be any kind of feud, because I don't get sucked into that kind of shit. Now, if it was somebody that I didn't like and they were talking shit, it'd be a different thing. But I like him, and I think that his criticism is more about a personal relationship, or not a personal relationship, a personal interaction that he feels crossed the line, and that's his opinion to feel that way. And I don't get involved in that, because I like JB and I like the other person involved. And so for me, it's just I'm going to stay out of it. And I run rooms. JB's welcome in here anytime. And the other person's welcome in here anytime. And so it just is what it is. I just find it funny that when the content was created and people wanted to do the piling on thing, that once the person shows up, then it's fuck, I can't say that out loud. And by the way, I genuinely mean it. I think that David should be praised for the fact that he was willing to say, okay, well, I said this. And I think that shows character. But for the people that, that wanted to pile on and do this stuff when I wasn't there, but then wanted to become silent partners when I show up, it's like that goddamn frog in the fucking cartoon, man. Sings his little heart out. But then once they get on stage, then all of a sudden it's ribbit, can't sing anymore. For those of you that are too young and don't know what I'm talking about, it's a very famous cartoon.
I value our relationship. Sorry.
The WB frog.
In the grocery store. The way JB couched it was always that he respected what you do, what you did, and why you do things. And there was nobody. There's nobody who's better at marketing, who's better at running rooms, and whatever reasons you had for having someone that he had smoke with, he could respect that. So he also said that too. And anyone who listens to that replay, I think they'll hear that. And again, 90% of the content was, we were talking about scammers. And it was like a true crime episode.
Yeah, well, I think the best thing to do is just to find a topic and move on. I will say this. For anyone that was participating in the whole, I don't understand why Mojo and her are buddy. Dude, I've known this woman for fucking over 4 years. She's one of the most colorful personalities on the app. How am I not going to be friends with her? It's craziness. It's craziness.
I like how Joe said in the chat, a lot of people see this, but I'd like to say it verbally. He says, I only exchange in the currency of ideas rather than my thoughts of people. Seems like a healthy way to navigate the app, and a lot of people have responded real well to that statement. I like that as well.
Oh, I want to call attention to the chat. This guy by the name of C profile.
You pussy ass hypocrite, you punk bitch. You're a fucking hypocrite, you punk ass bitch.
Yeah. Okay. So this is an example of a person that can't regulate his emotions. And he was in a room earlier, and he got really in his feelings. We were talking about drug legalization, and he was really proud of himself that he's never done drugs. He's never done drugs. He's really proud of that accomplishment, which, by the way, I'm drug-free too, so I thought, that's pretty cool. But he was really mad at Timok. He was really mad at who gets mad at Timok, by the way. He was really mad with Joe. If you guys don't know Joe is an interesting character and very intelligent. They just had some differing opinions about drug policy, and what he said was, well, you have an agenda.
clearly he had an agenda. And then once people disagreed with him, he couldn't even have a conversation. He crashed out. As you just heard him on the stage, he's got Tourette's or something. But I will say that somebody like this that acts this way drug-free, it's a very good thing that he doesn't use drugs, because he would probably be a danger to himself and society.
You know, the Buddhists say and the Jews say that, our thoughts or our words create reality. And the interesting thing about Clown House, this is why I keep pushing for the book club, is that whether you're listening or you're speaking, that information communication exchange still goes to the same place, to your brain. So it's very dangerous to listen to people spew all kinds of toxic bullshit for a long time, because that could become your reality. So that's why I encourage people to do book club or read books, because you can literally manifest a positive vibration reality as opposed to the clown house negative vibration reality.
Wholeheartedly agree.
You are your words.
I just think it's funny that somebody decided to call me a cat today, and I'm not sure if I should feel bad about that.
It means you're a leader. When they say it's hard to herd cats.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I like that.
But I will also say that listening to the epistemology of racial identity politics ultimately becomes boring because it's all surface level.
Can we figure out why this guy in the chat he says that these are the most evil devils in the world. These devils are literally responsible for destroying the world. They have no place to judge anyone morally. Their entire culture is built from hate. I'll bring it back up here, and you guys can tell me what you think of if this is the embodiment of love. Let's bring him back up. Show us your love.
So again, as you see, in this room, I won't be given an opportunity to speak. I'll be cut off and interrupted because Mojo's a hypocrite. Earlier, he said no interruptions. He didn't make any specifications about him being able to interrupt. But as soon as I started saying something that he disagreed with, he interrupted me and didn't allow me to finish to speak. As soon as he did that, all of a sudden, what does he do? Tries to gaslight me. Say, I'm angry. Of course you're going to be upset when somebody interrupts you and you're trying to speak about something. And my view was clearly in the minority. You have John here, who's a closet racist and sees a black profile picture, and then he wants to kind of, taunt me and say who hurt you in the comments. And the reality is, this country has hurt me. You know exactly who's hurt me. You know what's happening to black people in America because you're part of the problem.
They're thriving.
And yeah, absolutely. And what's crazy is this country always is going to have get turned upside down because you're ignoring, and many of your messages, you're ignoring the contributions, the many contributions to our entire development of this country, and you ignore.
Does someone want to tell this guy that I'm black?
Here we go again. Here we go again. You're not. What it is you're politically white. So it's not nothing to do with your identity.
I'm black.
You're politically white.
That doesn't.
So what I mean by that is that, yeah, it does. I'll show you. So basically, you're an Uncle Tom. Excuse me. Maybe I should have said another word.
I don't think I've ever been called that before, but I'm going to add that to my Bible.
Let me not say Uncle Tom. Let me not say that. I'll use another term. Damn it, what's the other term? When it comes to me, I'll tell you. But for the most part, I just want to share this with the room. Mojo, you're a hypocrite. I don't appreciate the way you broke your own rules when I was speaking. Thank you, Sambo. Thank you, Matt.
Read Rule 6. Read Rule 6 of the House.
You know what, Mojo? What's interesting? You're a funny guy, and I think that if we were having an actual debate, if we were actually having a real debate, and I was able to speak to that passive aggressive jerk that I was talking to earlier, that you said got me upset. That was taking jab at no one recognized it because
you mean Timok, the last dragon?
No, the last sucker clown that I was speaking with when I was on here. Your buddy that you're jumping on his dick.
That was Timok. That was Timok. I was all over his dick. He's the last dragon.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Him. So like I said, if you were able to actually have a debate and talk and actually speak about, he's encouraging the use of drugs. When you talk about drugs and the use of drugs, right? And he's sitting there saying, he starts telling me about how, he started breaking down the biology of how, there's, I guess, some evidence of drugs showing up in your body in some way, shape, or form. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, is this guy trying to bring together the idea that because somehow there's some remnant of some drug or some molecule in your body that somehow is present in the drug, that therefore, then what? What does that have to do with anything? It doesn't mean that I have to take drugs. So if we're, this is a weird world where we can sit here and try to rationalize these things. People are making money from drugs, right? And then he asks, what's the difference between drugs and medication? We obviously all know the difference. One is going to be medicated if you're sick.
See,
the other is just
Profile,
identifying what it is.
do you have a point? And also, people are making money live streaming you on YouTube
Hey, guess
right
what? Hey, John. Fuck you, John. Fuck your family. Fuck everything you got going on. Fuck you. Straight like that, John. If I see you, I'll smack the shit out you somewhere.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, hold on. Can someone tell him which rule he just violated?
Threatening violence.
Yep, threatening violence. That is rule number 1. So not only did you miss rule number 6, where a moderator has the privilege to interject when appropriate, you also missed the rule number 1, the most important rule: no threats of violence. Perhaps if you smoked some marijuana, you'd relax. By the way, it wasn't Timok that he was having that argument with. It was Joe. If you guys are familiar with Joe, Joe was advocating for marijuana use for veterans that suffer from PTSD, and that was the argument where he went in hard on Joe, saying that Joe is a piece of shit for advocating for drug use and questioning his morals and ethics because of his support of marijuana use for veterans that suffer from PTSD. That's what the full context of the conversation.
I am a veteran and I have been diagnosed with PTSD by the Veteran Affairs, but unlike many combat veterans, my PTSD is actually from DEI.
You know what's funny is if the guy didn't crash out so hard, and now we see why, because if you read the chat, you can just see that he hates white people. And I don't think he appreciated being in a debate with Joe. Not Joe Hero, but do you guys know Joe? Joe was the second artist. He was the guy that months ago got into an argument with Pepe, and Pepe was telling him that he would beat him up because he's a boxer, and Joe indicated to him that, well, I'm a kickboxer. How about this? I'll tie my hands behind my back. It was one of the best arguments I've ever heard all on Clubhouse. But this guy would have done pretty good if he would have just, remember how when he got up on stage and cussed me out, and then I brought him back up, and then he did the whole calm voice?
I thought he was a different person.
Yeah, if he would just do that. What's interesting is I appreciate the fact that somebody's an adult and they've never done drugs. I think the discipline to have never done drugs, but he probably doesn't have a lot of friends, probably was never invited to a lot of parties, which makes it easier to be disciplined. But the truth is, I admire that, and I admire his advocacy that people should avoid drugs. I actually, while I believe people should be free to choose, I would say that it's a wise thing for them to not use drugs.
You believe that he's sober?
That's his claim.
No, he sounded like he's high on promethazine or something.
Well, hold on. Let's bring him up here. I believe his claim that he's sober.
I don't believe that.
You're going to bring him up again, really?
Well, Daniel, I bring them up for your amusement. I'll bring them up only for your amusement.
Not for mine. I wouldn't vote for it, but it's your room. But I love being in your.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you don't like it, you can always open a room and you can complain about it and say that I'm.
It's right. I could just like you can open the room too if you want.
So this is for Dr. Adams. I just want to tell you, Dr. Adams, that I know probably in life you're used to getting your way and maybe living with those stereotypes that you have in your head and those racist ideas and views that you have.
I'm black too. It's not going to work, buddy.
Yeah.